After helping to clear up some of the mess that the choir members had left behind them in their dressing rooms, Max finally made his way to the front of the house and entered the bar. The choir members had already made themselves at home there and were crowding around the bar ready to have a well-deserved drink. The room was filled with the sound of chatting and laughter. Some people were collected around the tables at the edge of the room. Others were standing in the middle in small groups. John was there, moving from one group to another, and was rapidly talking to everyone he met. He was clearly the star of the show, and John was loving every minute of it. Max noticed that Kurt was now behind the bar, trying to serve a large number of people who were demanding a drink. The bar was free, and the beer and wine had either been bought or had been donated by a friendly wine merchant. The glasses had been provided by the theatre with the instruction that any broken glasses had to be paid for. Max made his way over to the bar and joined Kurt behind it. He started trying to serve the people in front of it, although it was the first time he'd ever acted as a barman. He was more used to be on the other side trying to get a beer. Behind the bar were boxes of wine. Kurt was in control of the beers at his end and was masterfully pulling out beer bottles from a box, snapping open the metal top, and then serving the customers with a glass from another box. Max decided that he was going to be in charge of the wine. At first, he opened a bottle of wine, placed a couple of wine glasses on the bar in front of him, and slowly poured the wine into the glasses. After only a few minutes, he realized that he was being too slow. As the drinks were free, he didn't have to worry about collecting any money, but the choir members, realizing that it was free, were determined to make the most of it. After only a few minutes, he decided to change his method of serving. Pulling out a number of wine bottles from their boxes, he placed them in line on the bar. He then pulled out as many wine glasses as he could and lined them up in front of him. Taking the corkscrew, he started opening one bottle after another, first a white wine, then a red. The people at the other side of the bar watched him curiously, wondering what he was doing. "Okay," he said in a loud voice, "who wants red and who wants white?" There were various answers. "Right," he said, "serve yourselves," and then laughed. Quickly he pushed a bottle of red towards one customer with a few empty wine glasses. A bottle of white wine went to another customer with the glasses. As soon as people realized what was happening, they started grabbing the glasses and taking the bottle of wine back to their friends. Now all Max had to do was keep opening bottles of wine as fast as he could and make sure there were enough empty glasses on top of the bar. Kurt had also got the hang of this and was simply taking bottles of beer, snapping off the tops and lining them up along the bar. After a few minutes, the customers started clearing, and they both realized that they were winning at last. Max took a bottle of red and a bottle of white out of the box and placed them on the floor behind the bar. "What's that for?" asked Kurt, looking at him curiously. "They are for us," replied Max, smiling at him, "in case we run out. We only have 2 boxes of wine left. I think we have deserved a bottle or 2 for ourselves." Kurt grabbed a few bottles of beer from his boxes and did the same. Occasionally, someone would come up to the bar for another drink, and Max provided him or her with a bottle. But for now, their job was complete. To his side, he could see Kurt snap open a bottle of beer and pour it into a glass in front of him. Max did the same with a bottle of white wine. As they breathed a sigh of relief, Kurt and Max saluted each other with the glasses. "Cheers," said Max, and took a long drink out of the wine glass. Later, Max, Kurt, and John walked out together through the main doors at the front of the theatre and breathed in the cold night air. It was approaching midnight, and they had finished the night, as per instructions, in time for the night watchman to close up and make sure the building was secure. The square in front of the theatre was quiet, apart from a couple who looked as though they were also heading home. The three of them looked at each other and smiled. They were quiet, and they were tired, feeling a mixture of emotional exhaustion and elation. Even John, who had been the star of the show, had little to say. They could both see from his face that he was proud of what he had achieved that night. It had been a long day full of emotional highs and lows, but now it was over. They'd done it. Walking across the square, they headed towards the car park, ready to go home. The streets were empty as Kurt guided the car out of the car park and into the centre of Brussels. He put his foot down on the accelerator and they sped out through the city towards De Veren and home. Once back at Moselstraat, John opened the door and called out to the dogs. Wotton was lying on his large beanbag in the hall and barely looked up as they walked into the house. Tosca was in her dog basket in the lounge. There was no sign from her, but Kurt pushed his head through the door and saw that she was fast asleep in the far corner. They turned on the lights and put their bags on the kitchen table. The three of them still didn't have much to say. They were too tired. John disappeared into the bedroom and took his suit off. Kurt was happy to stay dressed as he was. He reached into one of the bags and pulled out the bottles of wine and beer that they had saved from behind the bar. Max threw his suit jacket onto a chair, and they searched through one of the cupboards looking for wine and beer glasses. The three of them took the bottles and glasses into the lounge and collapsed onto the sofa. "What do you think?" asked John, sounding exhausted. "Fantastic," replied Max. "It was incredible." Kurt agreed. They poured the wine into glasses and then, with a smile and a laugh, toasted each other. It had been a fantastic day. It was all due to John's hard work and belief in himself. It was his day, and the success was his. They opened all the bottles they had brought home and sat there on the sofa talking into the early hours of the morning. They were exhausted, but no one was ready to go to bed. This was a night to celebrate.